So this is my first entry in the quote book on serial killers. The first serial killer that I'm going to be entering in the book is the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. He is known for hunting down his victims at night, and he would rape them and kill them. So what I did was I wanted to take his quote and put it on a wall with some blood splatter and in black paint that would look kind of eerie. And I'd have it in a dark room with a light shining on it that would look like a flashlight. So it looks like it's nighttime, and possibly detectives looking for clues or something, and they see this written on the wall. So this was how I went about doing that. So the next killer that I did was David Berkowitz. He was known as the 44 caliber killer because he used to like to sneak around killing mostly women with a 44 caliber rifle. So what I wanted to do, he was known for leaving notes everywhere about his killings and sending it to the police and everything. So I wanted to write a note, looked like it was from someone who's a little bit deranged. And I put emphasis on the words that would maybe anger him a little bit or get him a little riled up. And I managed to come up with a look of gunpowder, and I actually had an old bullet from a collectible laying around the house. So I put that with what looks like gunpowder and blood splatter fingerprints, and this is all kind of how it worked out. So for my next serial killer, I'm doing Peter Curtin. He was known as the vampire of Dusseldorf. Basically, like you think, he enjoyed drinking the blood of his victims. I guess he was originally known because he drank the blood of a full duck that he killed, and would, after that, attempt to drink the blood of all of his victims. So I decided that I wanted to do type in blood, and what better place than the tub. So this is how it turned out, and I think it's pretty cool. So for my next serial killer, I chose to do Ed Gein. He was the inspiration for Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hannibal Lecter franchise. Basically, he was a crazy guy. He enjoyed, basically, he treated people, mostly women, as the same way a hunter would treat his kill. Anything and everything that they do with deer, basically, during deer hunting season, he would do with people. I won't go into details, but you can picture it. So, basically what I wanted to do was I wanted to show how gory and crude he is without being too over the top and disgusting. So what I did was I decided to use kind of Hollywood style Halloween makeup idea, not exactly, to create type letters on someone's back, and it would basically look like it was carved out of their skin, and chunks were taken out. So it sounds gross, but it actually turns out kind of cool. And the way that I did it was, you'll see, I took basically school glue, liquid glue, and Kleenex or toilet paper, and you kind of shape the letters that way and create like your mold for what your skin pieces are going to look like, and you kind of just shape them properly, and then I use a whole bunch of makeup and stuff, and then the fake blood to add the last bit of oomph to it. So here's how it turned out. I think it was pretty cool. my next serial killer, I chose to do Eileen Warnos. She was pretty insane. I think the picture that I have for her in my book is the most sane picture I've seen of her so far. What she enjoyed doing was posing as a prostitute, and she would lure men in, and that's how she would catch them, and then she would kill them in any way that she pleased. I believe she would just basically just shoot them. She didn't get too gory, but she did it quite often. For a period of a year, I think she went on this crazy rampage. So my idea for this was I wanted, and you'll see in the videos, that I wanted to try to incorporate lipstick on a mirror and have the reflection of boots, like kind of hooker boots, and I have this head that hairdressers use to practice their hair styling. I was going to have the head in a bag with some fake blood and kind of make it look like her kill is freshly behind in the mirror. So I tried to set that up, but it didn't quite work because the lipstick, I couldn't read it on the mirror because there was too much going on in the background. So I tried to do it various different ways, and the mirror wasn't working. So I have wax paper, parchment paper, so I decided to just lay that out so it kind of looks like that's what you would lay out when you're going to do it. Kill serial killers when they're trying to keep a crime scene clean. It's an easy cleanup after, I suppose. They would lay something down on the ground. So I wrote the lipstick out on that, and I included some lingerie just to give the aspect that she's a hooker, and that it deals with sexual content. And then I had some blood hand streaks. So that's how I included the blood in it, so it makes it look a little bit gory, but it actually came out really cool in the end, so I'm really happy. So this is kind of how it happened. So my next serial killer is Ted Bundy. He was insane as well, as they all are. He was a rapist, torturer, and he was a necrophiliac. So basically, apart from all the other characteristics that most of the serial killers have, he liked to keep his victims' bodies somewhere for lengthy periods of time, and he would continuously return to them and perform sexual acts on them until basically they were too rotted, in order to do anything. So he's kind of gross. But yeah, I wasn't sure how to portray him because it's just a little insane, and I already did the carve outs of the skin. So I already did stuff with the skin and the body, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I decided to use myself as a prop, and as a model, and I used duct tape, so it looks like duct tape across my face with a quote written on the duct tape, and I wanted to kind of make myself look dead, and possibly that they just found this body. It's not really clear as an idea where it is. I wasn't on a table or anything. They just found this body, dead person. Looks like they were kind of strangled, and they're very dark and blue. And then the quote is written across the duct tape, so it's clear that they were tortured and didn't have a very pleasant death. So yeah, that was how I decided to portray him, and this is how it turned out. For my final serial killer, I chose Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, bind, torture, kill. So for him, I focused a lot on the aspects of the serial killers and what they have done. I wanted for him to do something a little bit different because his story was a little bit interesting. He was a family man, he was a church man. He had this whole life, and his secret life that he kept secret, and his hidden pleasure was that he would go out and find victims and do his horrible deeds to them. So I kind of wanted to pull that out as well because it was definitely very interesting. So the idea that I had for him was that I wanted to have a floppy disk because that is how he was captured. They found metadata on one of the floppy disks that he turned into the police with one of the descriptions of one of his kills. They found metadata on the floppy disk, and they were able to trace it back to his house, and they were able to capture him that way. So I wanted to kind of include the floppy disk because I actually found one, and it's kind of a cool concept. I also wanted to show how he's got his side life where he's a father and a churchgoer family guy. So I had a Bible, which I included in it, so it would show the floppy disk with a quote written on it in his handwriting, which I actually looked up, and I tried to make it look as much as possible to his handwriting. I put it on the Bible, and beside the Bible, if you'll see, I have latex gloves and some tie straps, or zip ties. So that's just props that he would use to tie up his victims. So I just wanted to show kind of, rather than the actual scene after, the process before going into the kill. And the quote kind of goes with that as well, I believe. So this is how I set it up, and this is how it turned out. So for the final part of my video, I wanted to include some digital work. I don't have everything from start to finish. I didn't realize that I had to have all of the digital work, like InDesign and everything, so I will take it apart as much as I can in a video and show the process of how I put things together. That's the best I can do for that, unfortunately. But I do have some of the digital work on the front part of my book. Here it is, how I put together these stickers and this as well. I'm also going to show how I made my cover with the file folder and how I got it to look kind of stained and aged. So that was kind of a fun process. So I included a video on that. I also want to do a little mention, which I'll include in my rationale as well, but why I included these little tags. Basically, what says on each of them is thrill seekers, mission oriented, and power and control. And why I put these on is because I did a little bit more research on serial killers, and there are three different main kinds that they come up with for different types of serial killers. So thrill seekers are basically like I mentioned in my book, there's a few of them where they seek out their kills out of the thrill, and to them it's like a game. So basically they like to involve the police and send them on a chase, and it's fun for them. So that's that class of serial killer. The next class of serial killer is mission-oriented. So in their eyes, they're doing a favor to society, so they're killing like prostitutes or maybe other killers or criminals, so they think what they're doing is right. So that's the second one. And for the third one, it's power and control, which is related to most of the serial killers that I have in my book. That's why I put it here dead center in the middle. Basically, they enjoy the terror of their victims. They enjoy the suffering. They enjoy the screaming, and they enjoy to overpower them, basically, and control them. So those are the three classes, and that's why I included that. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed my video.